Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mr. Z and Fifth.
Yo, with your host, Mr. Z.
And the Fifth General. All right, so episode 2 of this Mr. Z and Fifth podcast. We're going to title this United States of AMurderKKKa.
Woo.
Now, we're talking about America. That's what AMurderKKKa stands for. So, recently, in our last episode, when we were in the, episode 1, President Agent Orange, we were talking about, we ended up coming across a topic of what happens when you have white supremacists who feel that they're encouraged to kill those because of a particular feeling, voice, courage that they have when you stir up the pot, you know. And when they feel influenced by others, we mentioned the guy. Well, you mentioned Dylan Roof, Zaccheus.
I mentioned Dylan Roof. What it is that to kill these people in the church, of the audacity, we lost respect for the house of the Lord, when a man could just come in because of the color of the skin and come in and kill these church folk, black folk, and pretended that he was having a Bible study with them that night. And it's crazy, man. We looking at this. We keeping our eyes on this trial right now, and right now he's supposed to be facing the death penalty right now. I think of 2 counts, right? They facing the death penalty. And,
Well, you know why? Because here's the thing. This is what's interesting. So let's just do this. So we're mentioning Dylan Roof now, and this is, I wouldn't say old news, but it's news that I've heard before.
Still going on.
But he's being brought up as an example of what we're talking about, and then we're going to talk about James Harris Jackson. That's the one who came up from Baltimore and killed the homeless brother in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is why we're bringing up Roof, because he basically said the same things Roof was talking about. Roof walked up in that church, and you know what he said. He said that first he walked up in there he was having like Bible study, right?
Yeah, Bible study. Mm-hmm.
And he waited around. What does it say about a man who walks into a church while they're having prayer? Okay. Having prayer. And then he walks up in there, calm and collective, lets them get done praying, and then lets off the cannon. I don't understand that. I don't know. Well, then again, no, I do understand it, because that's hate. But what I'm saying is, it's like, now it's at the point where churches, this has been a discussion even before this event happened, because there's a history of church terrorist attacks.
Oh yeah.
You
want to go back to 1964 with the
Birmingham? The word Birmingham, the city got its name because of all of the burnings.
See,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
that's the history of that city.
It's the city, yes.
From all the church bombings.
Yes, the church bombings.
That's how it got its name.
Yes. The saddest story was it. I think it was in 1963. When it was one of the saddest stories. There was 4 little girls. The Clan Fire bombed the church and torched 4 little girls.
They were in the basement, right?
The basement of the church. It was Sunday school. And you hear stories like that, and it's like, it's so sad. But even before 1963, it was a history of that. Mm-hmm. History of just consistent violence in the church, violence against black folks in the church. And it's so sad because when you look at the history, it's so much history that's not even recorded. Yeah, there's so much terrorism going on against the churches, black churches.
Yeah,
way back then.
Specifically black churches.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me differentiate that statement.
Yes.
Especially black churches then and then still today. So there was a situation where that year that Dylan Roof shot up the church, that there was church fires that was happening all over that state of North Carolina.
Wow. Yeah,
You know?
yeah, I heard something. Wow, it's
You know, the timing is everything.
yes.
So you got church fires, and then you got him shooting up a church, all in the same time frame.
Yeah, well, you know, the whole motto was for him to start a race war.
Well, he was inspired by apartheid, South Africa, Rhodesia.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he worshipped that whole movement
Yeah.
of oppression
Yeah.
in South Africa, which a lot of that stuff still goes on today in South Africa, but in a different way.
Right.
It may not be apartheid, like for instance in America, there may not be technically
What segregation?
yeah, there may not be physical whips and chains, but
Yeah.
there's still the leftovers of that system in a way that's still there, because black people's civil rights get violated more than anybody else's rights in this nation.
Yeah.
Okay? Can't argue that. You know? So, you know, the whole thing is this. So you have situations where, back to the roof. So you have situations where you have people like them, also people like George Zimmerman. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Who, even though George Zimmerman is not white, fully white,
right.
you know, he, I guess, refers to himself as a white Hispanic. But he still wants to identify with white and follows the ideals of white supremacy. Just based off his the way he was profiling Trayvon Martin.
Right.
You know,
right.
Here this man is walking around scot-free. You know, this man is walking around scot-free. Since then, this man has done things that should land him in jail. I mean, pulling out a gun on his ex-wife's father. Allegedly, he had pulled. These are all, you know. Allegedly, he had pulled out a gun on his current woman who was pregnant at the time.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's
you
what
know,
we. Yes.
This man.
Yes.
This man. You know.
Yes.
Was
Man.
What else he was in the news for?
Man, I remember. Yo, this is crazy, man. I remember when DMX wanted to do.
Yo, okay. Let me. Now you mentioned this last week. We'll get to that DMX thing real quick.
Yeah.
Now last week, I remember you mentioned, you know, they asked Trayvon's father and mother, "Do you forgive George Zimmerman?"
Yeah.
I remember watching an interview on Breakfast
Club. Yeah.
On Power 105's Breakfast Club. You know, with DJ Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlamagne.
Yeah.
And they were interviewing them, the parents. And I think Trayvon's mother said, you know, that takes some time. You know, because they asked, "Do you forgive him?" And she said that takes some time. And we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Like what you said about Dylan Roof, how they asked the family, sitting here thinking and talking. They asked, hours after they had caught him, the family said, one of the families, that is, I don't want to speak for all of them there.
Yeah.
They said, "Look, we forgive you, but that ain't going to bring our family back. It's not going to bring
It's not, you see, when you're put in that situation, and when you're in that situation, it's you can't even describe what the parents has went through. You can't even feel what the parents has went through because you never experienced it. It's more like, and then you gotta have the audacity to ask about, you know, it only takes the power of God to forgive that, because it can't take, you and your own human strength cannot forgive that. You know, here's a brother going to get Skittles, going to the store in Florida. I forgot what part of Florida. I think it's by Winter Park area in Florida, but right next to Orlando. And
it was in a gated
community. Yeah. And
Trayvon's father's girlfriend.
Yeah. And he was just walking, and then next thing you know, a man comes and, you know, have a gun and then kills him. You know, he gets in a scuffle and then kills him. Yeah. Yo, where's the justice in that? And then you're gonna ask about forgiveness. It's not. It only takes the power of God to forgive, because I mean, you and your own strength can't forgive that. I know it's tough. You can't even do that. You know, and then we can go back to Dylan Roof situation where people ask the congregation, the victims of the do you forgive Dylan Roof? And it's like.
And remember what I said yesterday about how they never, because they did the same thing with Eric Garner's wife. They asked her, at a press conference, do you forgive the cop who choked out Eric Garner?
Yeah.
You know, and then she was like, no. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
You know, now he's a cop, so maybe that's, no, we'll fit that right in within the subject. Here's the thing: when you let people like Zimmerman and who was not a cop,
right?
You let him get off. He was playing cop. I mean, he wanted to be a cop.
Want to be cop. Yeah.
And then you have these cops, who they're letting go from getting away with shooting unarmed, you know, black men and women excessive force. You encourage people like Zimmerman, Dylan Roof, James Harris Jackson.
Yes.
You encourage those.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And when you do that, it's like this. You know, you're letting these cops do it. You know, somebody posed a question. It was like, you know, what if Eric Garner was white and Pataleno, the cop, was black?
Okay.
Well, let me just say this.
Yeah.
Videotape or no videotape, I'm going to go ahead and guess that cop would be not only out of a job, but he would be behind a jail cell.
Yes.
I don't know how harsh the sentence would have been if they would have gave him life or whatever, but he would have been behind a cell right now. He would have been singing Roxanne like Eddie Murphy in Distinguished Gentleman. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. They would have thrown the book. They would have. See, that's when they pull out the rule book.
Yeah, there you
go. You see, that's when if it was tables were turned and Aragano was white and Pentalano was a black officer, they would have thrown out every rule book in the book to say that it's justified that he was totally wrong in every aspect of this world. He was wrong.
Well, here's my thing, and if you're wrong, then you're wrong. If you do the crime, you must pay the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's if you do the crime,
right?
You know, and the thing is that videotape ain't helping. Obviously, body cameras. Okay, so we put body cameras on cops,
and you would think,
and people still getting away with things. Still, cops still getting away with murders.
Yeah,
and the thing is. Okay, so the Zimmerman situation, okay, I mean, he ain't even get a couple years in jail. He got no years.
Right.
You know? And then Dylan Roof, here's the thing. They tried to plead the insanity. They tried to give him like the insanity case. They tried to do whatever they could. And Dylan Roof, the reason why Dylan Roof is facing the death penalty right now, because he, number one, he want that.
He admitted it.
He said, if I had it my way, I'd do it again. Savage.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. See, and he admitted. So that's why he's facing the death. That's why he's facing the in 2 counts. I think it's 2 counts he's facing the death penalty with. 2 counts. Yep.
It's disgusting. But this is somebody who wants to be martyred for his activity. That's why he's where he's at.
Yeah, yeah.
James Harris Jackson, I don't know what happened with him. I still don't know the details of what's going on with him and how harsh his...
It's a case that's pending. It's a case that's
pending,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's pending, and we're gonna see more on that footage. But
he's exactly like Dylan Roof.
Yeah,
he's exactly like him. I don't like how the media did this though.
From what I heard,
you heard what the media said?
No,
they were saying this man was a well-dressed man.
Well dressed.
They were talking about how he looked, talking about the man's coat and his shoes. But then the one that he killed with that little knife / dagger he had, the homeless black man, they're talking about how he had priors. So let's talk about. So I don't understand. You want to talk about you want to criminalize the one. This always happens. criminalize the one who gets killed, but the one who does the killing, as long as he is a particular pigmentation. Let's talk about his accomplishments. I ain't never heard. Let me tell you something. When I gotta bring O.J. Simpson up again.
Okay.
When O.J. Simpson was first accused of killing Nicole Simpson, was anybody talking about? I know this is back in the early '90s. So, but
1995.
Right?
Yeah, 1995.
Do you recall them talking about his Heisman Trophy?
No.
How much yards he ran?
Nope.
How great of a football player he was?
Nope.
I didn't hear that. All I heard was, and I was a real young kid, a little tyke. From what I can remember, there was no type of hero worship for him. And, I mean, look, if you did it, I understand. But if you didn't do it, this is the thing, I'm just making a point.
Yeah.
I'm just making a point that if the media is going to treat a killer one way, then you should do it the same way for all people, not just for a certain type of people. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. If anything, the media should have spent less time talking about how much the man dressed and more time about what he did.
Right, exactly.
What he did,
exactly.
What he did was a blatant
murder,
massacre.
Yeah, massacre. Yeah.
Execution. There's no excuse, no reason for that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's when you go into situations like that and you hear things like that, the justice system only favors one side. Yeah. And it's geared for one side.
Well, that's why we call that the injustice system.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and if you go online, if everybody goes online and they look or see how much victims of police brutality, you remember Michael Brown from Ferguson?
Jesus Christ.
Man.
Being that you just mentioned Michael Brown, do you know that Darren Wilson, the cop, finally, he admitted something we knew to begin with. He admitted that Michael Brown didn't charge at him in his particular quote. He called him a Hulk Hogan demon, and he was hulking up as he was taking shots. He finally admitted, because the statute of limitations are gone,
right.
He finally admitted that Michael Brown didn't do that.
Right.
The store owner in that store that they said Michael Brown robbed the guy strong arm robbery, which it wasn't strong arm robbery. The guy said that he said it wasn't no robbery. As a matter of fact, he didn't even know who he was.
Yeah, let me tell you something. What they did, what they did, I think it was maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, maybe about 2 weeks ago. They showed footage. They viewed the camera and they showed footage of him assuming that he was brutal, assuming that Michael Brown was brutal, and assuming that he was that he robbed the place and he was violent. And in other words, they're trying to justify what they done, and this is how the justice system. That's how it works. They're trying to justify what they done, and it's like, wow. After the young man's still gone, you're still trying to justify what you done to him, and try to show footage, and which I see no footage. They showed the video several times on TV. They showed the video several times on media, and I was like, what has he done wrong? It's murder.
They spin the story so much on all the major news networks, all day, every night, before and after the actual trial. And I mean, it really wasn't that much of a trial. It was more of a hearing. It was a grand jury. For Darren Wilson, it was a grand jury hearing, right? It didn't even really go to trial. It was, we're not going to charge him.
Right.
And my thing is, I knew they was going to let him go. I knew it. Based off history, based off also the fact you had all that protesting going on in Ferguson. You had all these, the National Guard, the day before the actual hearing of what they was going to do with Darren Wilson, you had all this security sent down there, set up in certain places of the city to prepare for a riot, because they knew
Yeah.
That they was gonna let that man go.
Yes.
And the one thing about the media is that I don't like at that time. I'm glad I'm talking about this now. See, if we was doing this podcast around that time, then it would be present day. But let me just say what I've been wanting to say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so they encouraged writing. I'm going to tell you how. I was hearing news about how people was going down there, undercover cops,
Yes.
dressed as regular people,
Mm-hmm.
throwing rocks. And here's my thing. That came out because you had a couple of our investigative reporters. And what I mean by investigative reporters, not people who work for news companies, but just the general civilian reporters. Thank God for them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They started doing backgrounds on these people. They was taking pictures of these people.
Yeah.
Dressed up. They was like, yo, who sent you? You know what I'm saying? And you had situations where they were finding out people were down there just to riot. Now, COINTELPRO. If anybody knows anything about COINTELPRO,
Yeah.
Google that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is something that J. Edgar Hoover put in place to spy on activists like Martin Luther King and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Today reflects the mark of his death.
Exactly.
You know, Dr. King, man,
well, today,
yeah.
When this episode releases, it's not going to be the day. So tell what the date is of Martin Luther King's death.
April 4th.
Okay.
April 4th, 1968.
Okay.
April 4th, 1968. It was Lorraine Motel in Tennessee.
Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis,
right?
Tennessee, yeah. You know, we just, you know, when you look, you reflect back on history, and now in this going on right now. This police have been going on for centuries. You know, it's nothing new. It's nothing new that we're talking about. Nothing new, brand new that we're talking about. So it's been going on for years. It's been going on for centuries after centuries. You know, so when we talk about Ferguson, we talk about brothers like Eric Gardner, and you know, Tamir Rice,
the little young kid,
that had a toy,
right?
12 years old in Cleveland. Yeah,
Cleveland,
Ohio. Yeah, in Cleveland, Ohio. The police claimed that he was flashing something, and they shot him. A 12-year-old. You know, and
well, look,
sometimes,
you know what else is disgusting, and this is why I was just talking about the media and what they project or what they put out there to the world, is that you never see that sympathy for other people. I'm sorry, you never see that sympathy for black folks,
right,
when they get murdered, but you do see that sympathy for white people. That's just the truth. This is not an attack on white people, but this is the truth. But then again, I expect that because the news media is not black owned. It's not owned by anybody that has our best interests at heart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's going to tell the stories that they want to tell, how they want to tell it, and when they want to tell it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That just talks about how important it is for black people to have their own black-owned media that is owned and controlled by black people. That way we could tell the stories that others don't tell.
Yeah.
And it ain't so that our truth is shown.
They have
our truth, the truth. Cause
they have one or two that I know of personally that airs.
This is what you have. I'm glad that you said that. You have black publications that are not even black owned anymore, or some that were never black owned to begin with.
You don't want to call any names out there, right?
No, I don't. I probably.
Yes.
Let me just keep it real, because it ain't like they gonna endorse me.
Right.
You have people like Ebony Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Ebony's not black owned. It's not. From what I was told, Ebony Magazine is not black owned.
Well, they sold it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was ever black owned. Maybe it was.
Yeah.
But it's like BET. BET is not black owned.
Well, yeah, we know that. Here
you got people on certain news networks like Fox News, making complaints about a channel that's not even black owned.
I think TV
It's
One.
not even
I don't know if
black
TV
owned.
One. TV One.
Remember when Stacey Dash said, "Oh well."
Oh, talk about Stacey Dash.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna talk about her real quick and get the heck off of talking about her. We'll save her for the Coon Code episode. So
yeah, man.
you know, she said there shouldn't be a BET. Morgan Freeman's coon behind said something about it shouldn't be Black History Month. This is what she said. She said you might as well get rid of BET and then get rid of Black History Month.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
Morgan Freeman's coon polka dot face behind going to talk about basically agreeing with her. There shouldn't be no Black History Month. You know
I can't believe he would say that though, because my thing is,
here's the thing.
Wow,
you have unintelligent people who say, well, what about White History Month? White History Month is every month. You know why? Because that white history is the only history that is promoted in the school systems or curricular systems, whether it be elementary school and college. So we learn about. Do you know as black people and other non-black people, we learn about them. We learn about white history before ours.
Yes, it's true. That
is the truth.
That's the truth. Yes.
And then if and when Black history is taught in elementary schools, grades, whether it be elementary through high school, when you do hear that, it starts at slavery. Our history did not start at slavery.
Yes. Yeah. Can you repeat that again? Because a lot of our folks, they don't know.
Let me just say this: black or melanated people, whatever term you like to use, history did not start at slavery.
No, people.
Slavery interrupted it, but it's not where we come from.
Right.
But if we teach you come from a slave, then any progress that you got, you should be thankful for and celebrate. And then when they teach slavery, it's very light. I mean, you got school books coming out of that are being written in Texas, and they're calling slaves. They're teaching kids that slaves were employees. What? No. They called them immigrant employees.
Immigrant employees. You know what? I don't. Yo, should I mention his name? Ben Carson gonna come out and say.
Oh yeah, mention that.
He's gonna come out and say, I can't believe it. He's gonna come out and say that slavery calls slaves immigrants.
He said slave. He said we have immigrants. He said we've had.
This dude,
oh
man.
God, we definitely need to save this guy. He said we definitely need to save this guy for the Coon Code show episode. This guy said immigrants who have came on slave ships who have worked for less. I'm sorry. First off, we didn't get paid. What do you mean work for less? If less you mean zero, okay. But that's not what you said, Ben Carson. And he is the head of what is it? HUD?
HUD, yeah.
What's his position in the cabinet? HUD, right?
Yeah, HUD.
He's
Ben Carson. Yeah.
This man was a brain surgeon.
He was a brain surgeon.
And that's the job. And
he was a brain surgeon. Yes, he's a smart man.
A brilliant one.
But
that's the job you give him?
Not only that, too. It's just what came out of
his
mouth.
He'd have performed brain surgery on himself, talking like that. Here's my thing: is that in this nation of racism, whether it be people who are racist against, whether it be black people or anybody else, and then you have people of that particular community who basically co-opt with the white supremacists. That's even worse, and that's my example of Stacey Dash and Ben Carson. Is that now when you speak it, they can in return say, well, we're not racist because we're not the ones who said it. No, but you gave them the platform to say it. And then if you were not in agreement with that, then regardless of them black or not, you should have stopped them and said, "Yo, I don't think that's fair." Right. I have never seen. Well, I don't watch that channel every day, but I've never seen to my Fox News. I've never seen on Fox News. I've never seen on Fox News where they correct somebody who's black, who's basically tearing down the black community with their words. I've never seen them say, "Yo, hold up, man, you're wrong." I never heard anybody on that network do that.
Yeah, I've never known that.
You know?
No, they ain't gonna do it.
And that's the thing. God forbid, you gonna be on my program, and you talking down about black folks.
There's a lot of
I ain't gonna allow that to happen.
Hey, I know somebody present. There's a lot of them that do that, man.
I'm not even friends with people like that. I'm not even friends with people like that. You see what I'm saying? I'm not even friend. Here's the thing, I'm not friends with open white supremacists. Now, the reason why I said the words open is because, I mean, there's some people I know. I don't know if they racist or not. Maybe they'll get mad enough and call me the N-word one day.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is I'm not friends with blatant white supremacists.
Right.
So I wouldn't be friends with somebody who's black, who has the same talking points and is in who agrees with.
A lot of the non-blacks amongst friends are using the N-word fluently.
Well, you got other communities, because I don't let those in the Asian community talk to me like that either. I don't let those in the Spanish community, so-called Hispanic or Latino community.
They do it. They do it every day.
And the reason why I say but I don't let them talk. I'm saying they not with me though. They not my people. They not in my what I'm say is they're not in my circle of friends. They're not in my circle of choosing.
Right.
You know, I can't look. You can't fight the world. You can't stop everybody from saying something to somebody. I understand that. But if you're gonna be my friend, if you're gonna be in my keep, then you can't talk like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be talking to me like that. You're not gonna be. It's not a joke. It's not a game. You know what I'm saying? I don't play around like that. You know, because you do have look, and there's another thing we need to save for another episode. And that movie Get Out, there was a in the movie Get Out, there was a Chinese man at that gathering.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, I remember. Mm-hmm.
And I found that interesting. And he was co-opting with the white supremacists in that scene. When they were betting on who they was gonna, they had that little silent slave auction they was happening. Yeah, for the main character, and and he was right there putting up his bid.
That movie is, that movie's very deep, man. That has to be in that episode, man. That movie's very deep, man. It's very, it's. I seen it, and I say it's deep, man. It's more than meet the eye. Some people, they look at it, they don't understand it. They look at it, they say, "Oh, it's corny." They don't understand it. Had some. I don't want to say no name. Coon brothers look at it and they're like, "Oh, I don't like it. It's not too much action. It's not too much action." But it's deep. You see, when you're conscious and when you look at something like that, it's you feed from it. You feed from it, and then you say to yourself, "Okay, this is deep," and you can learn from it. You learn. You take home something with that. Certain movies that's out there, you learn from it. It's not just to say, okay, it has less blood and gore, so it's corny. No, it's deeper than more. Like Fences, it's deeper than that. Yeah. So, we'll get into that another time.
Yeah, that'll be for a future time. We're gonna talk about The Sunken Place. But a lot of people have already analyzed the movie and talked about it, so we're not gonna necessarily do a movie review, but we're gonna talk about that movie and how it relates to
today,
to today, the past and today,
saying?
So, but
right now, right now we're talking about AMurderKKKa because it's
United States of America.
Yeah, because you see, during the course of from that time, we were not on radio for a good period of time. So much has happened.
Yeah, a lot has happened since
so much has happened, and it's like remember Sandra Bland. Yep. Her story too. How police pulled her over, and then her death was a mystery, and she dies. it's so many stories that during this course of period of time that happened under police brutality that it's like, wow. You look online, the list goes on of how much victims of police brutality were. Not all police officers are brutal. We're not saying that. It's just that it's so much that happened during the course of that time. So much. We have the bad apples. There's so much has happened during the course of that time, But
see, and that's the thing. Like I said, when you let people remember what I said about how I said that white people and non-white people, even us, are taught this as black people, were taught that we're inferior. This is what they teach us, whether it be socially, whether it be in mass media, entertainment, whatever. They always teach this. So then here you have, it's like they don't even have a chance. I'll say one thing, and we've said this in personal talks. White people are not even given a chance to even see people for face value because they are taught from birth that they're superior than everybody else. That's what they're taught. Now, whether they choose to adapt that or not is another situation.
Right.
That's why I said in the last episode, shout outs to those in the white community that speak against racism. And actually do something about it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's more than just you protesting with us and saying Black Lives Matter.
Right.
There's more than that. On your side, there's a fight on your side. There's a fight on our side to fight white supremacy. Like in the Malcolm X movie, the white woman walked up on Malcolm. She said, "I'm not one of those people. What can I do to help your cause?" He said nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
Now, this was before he went to Mecca. He comes back from Mecca, and he says, this is his in the movie. So I haven't read the actual Alex Haley Malcolm X book.
I'm halfway. I'm reading it.
Right. So it's
deeper. Yeah.
So if this is what's in the book and it's in a movie, then I guess pull from that, because in the movie, he was saying, white people can help, but they cannot necessarily join
because black people
organization.
Because black folks have their unity amongst themselves.
Right. Well, he said we have to first unify amongst ourselves
before
we can unify with others. And I agree with that. So that's why I said shout outs to those who actually speak against it.
Right.
Who are in the white community.
Yes.
The white or Caucasian community. I actually do respect that, because, you have that voice in there, that could say, hey, this guy is a white supremacist and you should watch out for him. And then somebody would say, well, how you know? Because in secret, this is what he told me. This is what he did in front of me.
Right.
See, there's that subtle racism. You have the blatant racism is, I'm going to just shout out the N-word, and then I'm going to talk about how you should meet your demise. That's the blatant racism. That's the Ku Klux Klan racism.
Right.
But then you have that subtle racism where it's hidden, but then it's not really hidden, and that is also a problem in this nation, and that also leads to the justice system being the way it is. It also encourages people like Zimmerman and Dylan Roof and James Harris Jackson. Encourages police officers like Darren Wilson, Pataleno, and the cop who shot Oscar Grant in Oakland. It encourages that.
Yes.
But here's the thing: in return, the justice system encourages when you let these people go unpunished. When you let a bad deed go unpunished, such as that, then you encourage others to do the same thing. Because here's the thing: you see yourself in others. I'm a black man. If I see another successful black man, especially when I was a little kid, I identify with him because he looked just like me.
Right.
Now, if you're a young white kid and you see a grown white man brutalizing black people, then he's going to think that he should do the same.
Of course. I mean,
because racism is taught.
I know well, this happened to me personally, and I experienced this with this white gentleman, older guy in the 60s, came up to me and told me about eating one day, and he made a remark, and he said, "What kind of colored man are you? You don't eat grits?" And my response was like,
"Man is ignorant.
He's ignorant. This is a bare ignorance." And I said, "The term color, can you please do not use that term color?" He said that I was raised this way.
See,
I was raised this way, so I'm not gonna. No. I'm not gonna change. I was raised this way, and he said, "I'm 60-something years old. I was raised this way, and I'm not gonna change." I said, "Well, then I guess I have to report you. You're not gonna change."
Okay,
right?
good. Don't change, but don't talk to me no more.
Yeah.
How about that? Don't talk to me no more. If you don't want to change, don't talk to me. Do not talk to me, and that's my point.
Right.
We deal with racism at the workplace every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that people don't understand. It's at the workplace. You know what I mean? It's just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole thing is, first off, maybe there is. That's between him and the Lord, but ain't no saving that dude right now from that mentality unless he really comes to grips with that.
Right.
But my whole thing is, look, if you're going to be that way, then just don't talk to me then. But really, he was trying to test you.
Right.
Because that man is another word I like to use is race agent, an agent of racism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
mm-hmm.
basically, he's trying to stir you up so that you could act wild,
right.
and you lose your job because all he got to do is go to human resources and say, "Oh, I feel threatened."
I felt threatened. Yes.
You know,
that was a test.
They'll believe his side
test
before
because,
yours.
Yeah.
But this is what black people have to deal with at the workplace. This particular struggle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have to deal with that too. You get tested every day. I get tested every day.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. Us as folks, we always gotta cross our I's and dot our T's. We gotta be on point.
Yeah, because real quick,
the
reason why he's testing you is because you working there and earning a living for your family is a threat to him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he's there as a agent of racism to get you riled up so that you can lose your job.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's just the fact of the matter.
Yep.
There have been many times where I've had to literally walk away. Conversation. And say, "Jason, remember who you are and remember who he is.
Yes.
And what his mission is."
Right.
Well, I've had to walk away. Just to keep, but you know what I tell people? Somebody acting like that, we in a day of camera phones and audio recorders on our phones.
Yes.
Document and record everything they say to you.
Yes. Yes.
I was saying that to your wife. I ain't going to say her name unless you want to, but I was saying it to your wife in a personal conversation because she deals with racism at her job.
Right.
And she said, "How should I deal with, you know what, this is such a broad topic. Well, I'll be glad to talk about this another time, but let me just fit this in real quick." Yeah. I said document. Document, get it all out because basically they say you do something, they're going to try to build a case against you. You need to have a case against them.
Yes. That's a good message because the thing is...
White supremacy is banking on us being unprepared.
Yes.
In life, period.
Yeah, in life, period, yeah. Yeah, so we always gotta be better. We always gotta prove ourselves. Because the rule, remember this in closing, the rules are always different for us. So, whoever's listening, that's my message to you. The rules are different. So we always got to do the best we can in society. We always got to make ourselves better. We always got to, as far as, when I say make ourselves better, as meaning through entrepreneurship, through helping your community by maybe going to school, educating yourself, and also building wealth in your community, trying to enhance your community and trying to help your next brother man. You know, so we always gotta prove ourselves to be better and to be to our identity, because the time we show ignorance, remember the rules are different for us. We get the 20 years, we get the 25 years. They throw the book at us. Man. So
I say stay ready. So you always stay ready, so you don't have to get ready. You know what I'm saying? That's what I say. And the thing is that, so I know people listen to this and they're saying, okay, so we got this going on in this country. What do we do? Do we fight it? What do we do for ourselves? Well, one of the things that we have to do for ourselves is create an economic system that could help sustain us and our communities, you know, so that we can have our own policing. And the one thing that that white supremacy teaches is that black folks and other what's the other name for the other disadvantaged groups are not represented well, so you could just go up in there and do what you want. That's what white supremacy teaches.
Right.
Because they know that there's no representation for us anywhere. It's not in the justice system. It's not in the media. It's not in economics. So where is it? It's not socially anywhere else. So that's what they teach. So that's why you have situations where this guy, James Average Jackson, said, came up from Baltimore. He said, that he was going to, because New York is the media capital of the world. Yeah. So he wanted to get attention. But then he went after an older cat. See, he didn't, my uncle, me and my uncle was at a conversation about this. He said, so if he wanted to kill a black man, like he said he wanted to, how come he didn't run up in like East New York, projects in East New York, or walk up in some spot in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, or somewhere in far Rockaway, Queens,
or Brownsville,
or run up in somewhere in the South Bronx,
you
know, or Harlem. He didn't even go. He said Manhattan, right? He said New York, right? He went up to Manhattan,
New York,
right?
Yeah.
He didn't go up the 125th. He didn't go up the 116. He didn't go to the Lower East Side.
No,
he ain't mess with them over there.
No, see,
okay,
yeah.
So he ain't that crazy. He crazy,
but he ain't that crazy.
You know what I'm saying? And that's disgusting. You know what I'm saying? First off, that's disgusting. What that man did was wrong. That man did was wrong. You know, whatever you do is wrong. If you're a black man, black woman, and you thinking about going out there and killing some white man, some white woman, don't do that. You wrong for that too.
You're wrong for that too. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The point that I'm making is that it's wrong all over. But I'm saying that the treatment is not all over. The treatment is not exactly right and exact for everybody. That's what I'm saying.
The system is not. In other words, the system is not fair for everybody. Not fair.
This one, I've always seen people say the system is broken. Guess what my response is to that? Actually, the system is not broken. The system was implemented to be this way from the beginning. These laws, this justice system was put in place while we were still in chains. It wasn't even for white women. You know, I'm just bringing that up as an example. At the end of the day, white women are still treated in the justice system better than us. But I'm just making a point that it wasn't even for white women. I mean, later on there were things that came in place.
Yes.
But the point I'm making is this justice system was created by white men for white men. You know? So sticking with that, this system has always been like this. It's always been like this.
Yes. Oh, yes. And it take blood and sweat to change it. To change certain things about it. It took like voting and you know, and integrating schools and, you know, and I heard a politician say this. I forgot the man's name. I heard him say about black colleges. He's a black college. Some made a comment about black colleges. Black was formed because of.
Yeah, speak on that, and then we gotta definitely save that for another show. Because I want to speak on black colleges. I have a beef in a particular issue Not with the black colleges themselves and the concept of them.
Yeah.
I just have a particular bone to pick with how these colleges are basically regarded in a certain way, but these colleges are not really, let's just put it like this. Are they effective in a way that some people have gotten education from them? Yeah, but these black colleges were named after white men. At least most of them were.
Oh,
like
I didn't know that.
Yeah, George Mason, Spelman, and Morehouse. These are not black. These are not named after black people.
Yeah, we got to address that.
Morris Brown. I think Morris Brown is a black college. These were not black people.
Wow.
You know,
Spelman, Morehouse College.
Yeah. Now you would think, well, dang,
It's all black college.
This right, but it wasn't named after them. Yeah. Now, if there was a Booker T. Washington University,
I would understand
then that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Or W.E.D. Du Bois Institute.
Yeah.
Then I would make sense.
Yeah.
But these HBCUs,
Andrew Young Institute.
Right. These HBCUs were named after white people. They weren't named after black people.
Yeah, we gotta dissect it and find out what's going on there, man. Because you know, I never really. Wow, Spelman and Morehouse. Wow, yeah, yeah, man. So
and see that's the thing. And one of the things, like I said, we'll talk on HBCUs another topic. But like I said about this justice system, the way this country runs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And its unfair treatment of black people.
Yeah.
Now we have a president who touched on a little bit last time, and now we have a president who says things and people are surprised by the things he says. I'm not surprised by that. Him and other people who think like President Agent Orange. I'm not surprised by that. Why does this surprise? You know why I think it surprises people is because they were banking on a post-racial America when Obama won. No, it's still a racist country.
Yeah,
it's still a racist country.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go even though President Barack Obama won the popular and electoral college. I'm gonna say that he was selected too, in this particular way, to be a decoy or some sort of a trick bag to let people think that we were heading in a nation that was even more liberal than it's ever was, a post-racial, and it wasn't that. It was not that.
Yeah. I want to say one thing in conclusion, man. And I was thinking about that. It's like, why is so much police? Under Obama administration, there was so much police brutality.
You've had more police brutality under his 8 years than you did under President George Bush. Now, that doesn't mean that President Obama went out there and said, hey, y'all go out there and do that. No, the point I'm making is him winning was basically the retaliation.
Right.
Basically, when he won, it was like, oh, you're gonna be the president? Okay, we're gonna turn it up. We're gonna turn up the heat now.
Yes.
Now that you're in office, we're gonna turn up the heat in these streets.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
That's what happened.
Yes. They turn the heat up, and it's just, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we get into that, man. But
yeah, that's another episode for that.
Yeah,
but
man.
It still kind of relates to this because within that time you had all these popular and non-popular cases of unjustly murders.
Right.
That were happening to black folks, and the justice system just saying, just go ahead, just just don't kill again, and you'll be all right.
Yeah,
that's not what you told them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what you told them. I mean, you didn't tell that to Troy Davis,
right?
And you had witnesses recanting. I guess I brought that up. Since I mentioned his name, let me say that. So Troy Davis was accused of a crime. At the time, he had witnesses later on recant their testimony and say, "No, we we didn't even know that. We don't even we can't even identify this man. We don't even know if it was him. We don't even know. We don't know this stuff. And the courts, in my opinion, should have taken into consideration that you need to look deeper inside this case before you execute this man. You got people coming forward and saying that the police forced them to testify. That's another thing that happens in this nation. Police are forcing. Hear what they're doing. They're forcing people to testify, and they're also forcing people in the interrogation rooms to testify to a crime they didn't commit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
that happened with the Sean Bell when Sean Bell got killed, when he got shot up.
Yeah. Oh, 05.
They was grabbing people off the streets, talking about, oh yeah, Sean did this, Sean did that. There was people in there, no credibility at all, walking up in there. Then later on, they admitted that the police told them to go up in there and testify. And lie.
See, and lie over Sean Bell, because they know when Sean Bell died, it was so unjustified. It was so.
Well, they tried to kill him and all his friends in that car.
Yep.
And the one thing they was banking on was all three of them to get killed.
Yeah.
It was his friends, Guzman and his other friend Trent.
I remember Abner Lima. Remember that? Remember that case?
Look, Lima, there was some justice there, which I was surprised. That's a rare case.
Yeah,
Amadou Diallo, there was no justice there.
There was no justice. They
shot
there,
that man 41 times.
You know why there was a justice in the Abner Lima case? Shortly, you know why there was justice? He survived.
Exactly.
He survived.
Well, not only did he survive, but how do you explain a plunger being rammed up a guy's rectum the way that was? They had to explain that. You know, that's not something that they was able to dispute a shooting, you would say. They get up in court and say, oh, well, you know, we shot because we thought it was this. A plunger is not a cop standard issue weapon.
Right.
So where the heck the plunger come from? That's why I think there was justice there.
That's what there was justice.
He survived,
yeah.
And then the fact that a plunger is not attached to a cop's utility belt.
Yeah.
Now, if it was a police baton, that probably would have been a different story.
Yeah,
but it was a plunger.
A plunger, yeah. See?
And yes, the man survived.
Yeah.
That was a rare case.
That's a rare case, and you really survived that.
That's a unicorn, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Something, that situation is harmful to the future. What do you think that kind of effect does on your kids now? Your kids grow up and they see brothers and sisters, their brothers and sisters, being slaughtered like dogs in the street. This is a conditioning that was from slavery, and there's a reconditioning. You have the first conditioning, and then you have a reconditioning because they keep doing it. Well, actually, I don't know if that's the best word, but let's just say they're maintaining the conditioning. That's all I want to say. If we're going to break down what it is that a mentality you should live in with now, then we should, as parents or people in the community, is teach our youngins and the ones that are still growing up who are not necessarily awake yet but want to be awoke, is that you now take away the curse that's been put upon us and bless them with a new revelation that you don't have to be scared. You don't have to be inferior.
Right.
These are not things that you have to succumb to. You don't have to behold this. This is what they say is for you, but this is not for you. Let me show you what's good for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's a threat. A brother and sister with knowledge and consciousness, and who's actually doing something constructive for his people. That's a threat.
That's a threat.
That is a threat.
That's always been a threat.
Right. That is a threat according to this nation.
Yes.
And according to white supremacy.
And let me tell you something.
It's positive in our communities because this is what they do. Real quick, I don't mean to cut you off, but you always hear on the media. You always got somebody on the media saying, "Well, why don't you do something?" I remember this one guy storming, talking about police brutality. and he was deflecting this what about black on black crime stuff. And then he gonna say, well, why don't you do something about your community? You know what the brother said? He said, we did in Black Wall Street, and you bombed it. Woo!
Woo! Wow, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street.
I said that to set up something in the future. We know we're gonna talk about that.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah,
like
yeah,
that he said that.
Yeah.
The reason why I like that he said that is
Mm-hmm.
that this man was going off on a racist rant because he was losing an argument.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, "Why don't you do something about your community?" And then he says, "We did, but when we did that, your grandfathers and grand uncles may not been you family wise, but the same attitude that you're coming with of people with the same type of people at that time in Black Wall Street who blew up that community, dropped sticks of dynamite from a plane
on a community in the United States."
The brother Quanell X had a debate with this guy down in Houston on their news program.
Yeah.
And it was called a Face Off or whatever.
Yeah.
And he talked about how Black Wall Street was the first 9/11. So my thing is, the reason why I'm saying that is that how is it that you tell me as a black man, well, why don't you go fix up your community when there are a lot of us doing that? But the problem is, okay, we're doing that, and then when it's being done, you have this interference.
Well, yeah, you throw a wrench in it. Same thing that they did with the...
Yeah, because the truth is, and we're going to wrap this up, because the truth is, you really don't want us to do anything.
I want to say quickly, same thing they did with the Panthers. Remember, 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 Bobby Hutton, they killed him. Remember Fred Hammond?
Lord. You know what?
Remember Fred Hammond? Fred I think it's Fred
Hampton.
Hampton. They killed him 1968 or 69.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Ran up in the man's
home and shot him. Yeah.
Almost killed his, what was that, his wife?
His wife. His wife,
and
yeah.
she was pregnant
at the time. Remember that? Can't forget that.
You know what? I can't wait to talk about. You know what? Yeah. I'm glad you... Look. This ain't even playing. I'm glad you said that. In a future episode, we're going to talk about that right there. About how when black people want to be self-sufficient in their community, that there's this interference.
You look like a communist, so you look like a terrorist.
Right. Group. That there's this interference.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that. That isn't a... That was a... No, we still going. But
okay,
you know, but you know, we want to stay disciplined with the time. But if you want to push it more, we can do a couple more minutes. But what you want to do? You want to push it? No, we'll just wrap. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna wrap this up. But I'm glad my brother just brought that up, because in a future episode we are going to talk about how, I don't know when, it may not be next time, it may be another time.
Right.
Well, but let me just wrap up here. So where do we go from here? Because we talked about, you know, this nation and what it teaches and what it does to people.
Yes.
Okay. What it does specifically to black people. We spent more time talking about that. My thing is this, because I know people are probably listening to this and saying, well, you know, what about other groups? I'm not part of any other group, but you know, the melanated group,
right?
You know what I'm saying? You know, whether you want to call it black community, African community, whatever. I'm part of that group. I can only speak for that group. I can't speak for everybody else. But what I will say is this: is that one thing you have to do is that you have to recognize exactly what the problem is, attack it head on. No excuses. But the thing is this: what you want to do is you want to have a plan. You shouldn't tell everybody your plan. I don't believe in that.
Right.
You know, my thing is, so how do we fight this? Okay, so you fight it by, like I said, you got to have an economic base. You got to have that. We got to have our own policing. We got to have more control over people who police our neighborhoods, if you're not willing to do the laws, okay, if you're not willing to do the work that you have to do as a police officer to respect the citizens, because these are tax-paying dollars that come from us too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Black people pay taxes too.
Yeah.
So I'd be danged if my tax dollars are going to be going to these race soldiers coming up in communities where I live. I mean, I don't live in there's no such thing. Dick Gregory said there's no such thing as a black community, because a black community is when you own your schools, your banks.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get the control. That's what a real community is. He said what we have is a neighborhood, and a hood is what you put over your head when you're ashamed.
Ooh.
So that's how we start. The protesting.
Yeah.
I'm not against protesting and marching in the streets, but I'm done with marching. I'm done with marching. It takes more than marching. Marching brings attention. Marching just says, "Give me some attention." But after the attention is got, what do you do next?
What do you do next?
That's why you have to come up with a plan to come up with some to gather some resources, create some resources, and maintain those resources. You know.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. In conclusion, man, you know, when you think about when we mentioned this protesting, and I said, yeah, you know, Dr. King did protest, but it was action, but he followed through with his actions. He followed through with being active. When he, in 1964, desegregated the South, 1964, that was an action. That was something and you can protest, but it's all, but Fifth is saying it's always got to be an action. There's always got to be a plan, and the plan has got to get executed. Like, let's say, for example, okay, I'm gonna change my community. I want to be a better person in my community. So what do? So you focus on your goal. You strive for your goal, and if you go to school, that's pushing the goal. You become an educator. You become a teacher. You become a lawyer. That's adding to your community. That's building your community up. You know, you always say, okay, what can I do to help? What can I do to better myself and better my community? These are the assets you bring, and then you educate our kids that's coming up. That's what you do. Yeah, we need more teachers. We need more scholars. We need more teachers teaching about our own history. We do. You know, and we need more entertainers as far as like what Brother Keras once said, edutainment back in the days.
Yeah.
We need more of that. So, you know, everything falls into play. So, always strive to do the best and build the community up. In conclusion.
Exactly.
This is Mr. Z and the Fifth.
Yeah, so this is what we're gonna do. We do how they gonna reach us. So get at me at the Fifth General, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Fifth General. Zaccheus, what's yours?
Yeah, you can get at me at Wayne Bacchus on Twitter. You can get at me on Instagram, Zaccheus B73, Zaccheus ZACCHEUS 73, Zaccheus B, and then put the B and then 73 at the end. And then also on Facebook, you can hit me up at Wayne Zaccheus, ZACCHEUS Bacchus, or Wayne Bacchus on Facebook. So yeah, all
right, don't forget,
good, man.
So don't forget to get that album, The Example,
by
Zaccheus and the Fifth General. Digital stores everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna get
iHeartRadio everywhere. It's everywhere.
Right,
yeah.
Spotify, all that, iTunes, Google Play. It's Tidal. So we're gonna get out of here. You know, this is the Fifth General
and Mr. Z.
We're signing off. Mr. Z and Fifth Podcast. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Peace.